Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing good and staying blessed and doing well. I am back and I figured I would do that video in a response to a topic, and I'm just going to try to lump it all into one video and say how I feel about it, because the person asked me how I felt about extensions, and it got into a conversation that led into more of a question of how I felt about synthetic hair versus natural virgin hair that came off of somebody else's head. And I figured I would share my take on that whole concept of synthetic hair versus hair that got chopped off somebody else's head, and how I feel about that, and the different situations that I might be okay with certain things, and basically how I feel about I guess some different situations dealing with that whole concept of synthetic natural virgin hair. And also I'm kind of standing this way because I was going to show you what I'm wearing. And I really like these pants. And as usual, I have been trying to work out on my exercise bike and stay active, and try to keep myself in some type of shape also. So as usual, this is the random whatever I've been wearing today, and as you can see, I'm lounging around the house in my tank top and my pants, my IE relax pants. That's the brand name that's in them. I picked these pants up from my recent trip to the thrift store, and I've also picked up a pair of boots. They are Rocket Dogs as the brand, and I picked these up while at the thrift store around where I live at, and I really am just putting it out there that if you have never been to a thrift store to check out what they have, I would recommend checking out the thrift store from time to time before you go and do your other shopping at a mall, because you may be surprised what you actually can find in a thrift store for way less money and still get stylish things. Um, Another thing is, let me show you my other pair of shoes that I'm actually wearing today. These are possibly like my favorite pair of shoes. You can probably tell why. They have little kitty heads on them. And yeah. Um well, back onto the actual topic. How I feel about extensions, and honestly, I really don't care. I've worn extensions before, and to get more into detail about the virgin natural hair, the hair that's supposed to have came on somebody else's head versus synthetic. When I go to the store, if I am going to um, do like braids, or even if I was to get a wig or something, usually I go towards the synthetic hair first. Um, there's a story behind that, and mainly it's due to the fact that I do not know whose head they chopped that natural hair off of. And then there's a part of me that wonders if all, I mean, there's so much of it that what's the chances that that person might not have wanted to give up that hair that's being sold to you, that hair was cut off somebody's head that wanted to keep their hair. I don't like the idea of that. And also there's another thing about that I've had come to mind from time to time, and it's, I don't know what that person was doing with that hair. Was they a smoker? Is that hair have a smell to it when it's wet? Y'all can laugh at me if you want to, but at least with the synthetic hair, I know that that was manufactured and that it went through a strenuous process of being made, and I know I can trace exactly where it came from, and it did not hurt somebody in the process of it being made and put in that bag. You get where I'm coming from with that. That with at least with the synthetic hair, I know where it came from. Okay, there's no question of where it came from or how it was made. Um, so that just gives you a perspective on how I feel about that whole subject. Now, I'm cool with the idea of, like, if it was a relative or somebody that actually I could see the person and where the hair came from, and then I would probably be okay with using that hair. But this is not a diss to anybody who goes to the store and buys natural virgin hair or anything like that. It's just a personal thing with me, that the idea of putting somebody else's hair on my head and I don't know where it came from kind of is like with me. That I'm not all there with that, when I know I can just get some synthetic. That unless I'm doing something specific with it that just falls short of burning it, you would not know the difference. And that's how I feel with that, unless it's like that plastic hair, and that's just common sense, that don't even look like real hair. Hey, I'm just answering the question. Don't get mad at me. But then there's also this other issue that I've had people ask me about, and people have like made comments about, or I've seen videos about, that made me go, um, I never really understood why some people are so hostile towards an individual if they get lock extensions, when those same people are okay with wearing kinky twists or wearing braids, tree braids, or any other type of extension. Um, this is just my own personal opinion, and it may be because I am comfortable with myself and I've experienced all these different types of things that I'm talking about, but personally, I don't have a problem with whatever somebody else is choosing to do with their hair, because it's their hair. It's on their head. That's part of them. They should be able to do what they want to do with their body and their hair included. So for me to sit there and judge somebody based off of whatever they put on their head or however they do their hair, that seems a little shallow to me. However, I can understand where some people would get angry, and this goes across the board, is if somebody is wearing extensions and they lie about it. That is where my only issue comes in, that I would be like, what? But here we go. As far as my how I feel about it too, I really do feel like if I was to have extensions, most of the time I go for synthetic hair before I even think about putting somebody else's hair in my head. That's just me. One, and there's another reason too. It's cheaper. The synthetic hair is cheaper than the natural hair, that you don't know where it came from, really. You just don't know where that came from. And that's just something that I'm just like, every day you could be touching some hair, you don't know where that hair came from. That's just me. Now, as far as another topic, and I just want to see what other people felt about this, but and I've actually done this with my hair. I've worn braid extensions, genie locks, faux locks, synthetic locks. I've worn all these different styles, And personally, I don't have a problem with them, obviously, because I've worn them, but also because I've heard people say things like, well, that's a cop out. They didn't want to go through the journey, blah, blah, blah. Here's a reality check. Not everybody wants to have dreadlocks permanently, and they like how they look. And to some people, it is just a style for them. And there's other people that is just more more convenient way for them to step into locks. So to knock them because of that it just makes no sense to me. Then there's another thing. I've I've had people say things like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense," but they in the same time they have a lock repair in their head, and they have locks, and that lock repair. I mean, okay, what is a lock repair? And then there's the other thing that some people, I don't understand if they don't get this or not, but there are people who cut their own locks off and have them reattached. Are you going to get mad with that person because they wanted loose hair for a little while and then they reattach their locks? I don't think you're going to go off on that person for that. So what's the difference in the person who wants long locks, but they don't want to wait 8, 9, 10 years for it, and they go through the process of having the extensions put in? What's the difference in that person and the person who cut their locks off and put them back on? They both have to let the hair remature and rebond to the hair. They both have to take care of the hair that grows out of their head, and they both still, in most cases, have natural hair that's growing from the root of their head. The only difference is they just didn't have to wait for the length again. But that is just a personal answer to the question that the person asked me, and hopefully nobody comes up on here and go roar and get all angry with me because I just gave my honest opinion on it, that what a person does with their hair should be their business. That is their own personal body and their own head. Not everybody goes through the same processes to get where they want to go. And I've seen plenty of examples of women who have dreadlock extensions or braid extensions or other extensions on their head, and you would have to ask them if that was theirs or not to know if it was theirs or not. So I don't really see what the issue is, except for like in the one case where a person is just blatantly lying about it to a person who they might be wanting to get locks or something, and they think that that's how their locks will look, when in reality the look of those locks are not going to be the same regardless of whatever that person does. But that is just my own personal response to that question. Hopefully that answers it, and hopefully everybody is staying blessed and doing well, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.